Hello everybody. I started reading a book yesterday. I don't often make videos about books, even though I'm a complete bibliophile and love them, absolutely adore them. But this book I feel I need to talk about because oh my goodness, okay? This book is amazing and I've only started yesterday and I feel like it's incredible. Seriously. People have raved to me about this book for years and I've never gotten around to reading it until now. And if you haven't read it, I'm like totally, hugely recommending it completely to everybody because it's just brilliant. It's not my own, although you should read that too. It's very important. The book I'm talking about is this one, The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Oh my goodness. Now the reason I feel so passionate and so moved by this book already is because it's talking about things which obviously I'm completely interested in, completely part of who I am, the stuff that I talk about every day to you guys. But it's doing it on a whole another level. So the idea is that the character, the main protagonist in the book, I can't even speak, discovers a manuscript in Peru which talks about humanity and talks about how they are coming to a new phase in their progression, a new phase in a new era. So far it sounds very like the book that I wrote, but it's not. And he goes off on this adventure to go and discover the manuscript and meets people along the way. And it's the first two parts of the manuscript that I've come to so far that really just I read it and was wow. Because the first part of the manuscript talks about synchronicities, talks about coincidences in people's lives and how towards the end of the 20th century, because this book was written in the 90s, talks about how we become more and more aware of those synchronicities, more and more aware of those coincidences that are happening to us all. I really start to feel quite disenfranchised with life. Everybody feels restless. Everybody feels like there's something more to life than just this, but doesn't really know what it is. So everybody kind of feels fed up and not fulfilled and feels quite listless and miserable, but nobody really knows why. And the things that used to make us happy and the things that used to make us feel complete and fulfilled don't really do that anymore. So that takes us on to the second part of this manuscript that he's looking for. And this was the bit that I was like, wow. Basically, in a nutshell, one of the characters that our protagonist meets tells him, imagine that you have lived through all human history, that you have been present in every part of that, and it has affected you. Now, in the Middle Ages, of course, the church was rule. You know, the church was totally telling you what to do. Most of the public could not read, and so it was the church who told you the word of God. And all things that happened in life, whether it was your crops failing or people being sick or babies being born, whatever it is, if it was good, it was the work of God. If it was bad, it was the work of the devil or Satan. And nobody questioned that. It was what it was. And so for thousands of years, that's what people's lives were. And then suddenly people started to become more aware of the fact that those in charge in the church were not necessarily following the word of God themselves. So they would take corruption and bribery and adultery. And Martin Luther, of course, led the rebellion and tried to bring the church down. And a new way of being evolved. But what that meant was that the society suddenly felt very lost because they'd had the word of the church for thousands of years, and suddenly they thought, well, if that's not all there is, well, what is there? Well, what is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? Who do we turn to now? And so the book talks about how society sent people out to go and explore and discover, and they would feed back the meaning of life. And in the meantime, the rest of society, the rest of humanity, kind of found a way to make their lives better in the meantime while they waited for those who went out to come back. So they made their lives comfortable, they made their lives better, all the while they were waiting. But as time went past, 400 years up until the present day, they forgot that they were waiting for something. They forgot that they were looking for the meaning of life. And the fulfillment in the meantime of making their lives better overcome everything else. So that became their preoccupation, making money and technology and industry and starting to use the planet's resources for their own ends, to the point where we're now in a position where the planet's resources are running out. And we forgot that there was something else. We forgot that there was a deeper meaning that we were looking for. Majority, of course, is a generalization. And what we've come to now is, again, people are realizing that making money and trying to better yourself and trying to have a good job and a nice home and everything is important. But at the same time, people, again, feel disenfranchised. People feel unfulfilled. People feel listless, lost, and again are looking for that deeper meaning of life, that there is something else missing from their lives, and people are looking at why we are here and are turning more to spiritual matters. So when I read those two things in conjunction, it blew me away, because I talk about this stuff all the time, and to actually see it written down clarifies my beliefs, clarifies my own spiritual practices, and helps me to look at it in another way again. So the way that I feel and the way that a lot of people feel at the moment is inevitable, was going to happen. And I know it's a work of literature, I know it's a work of fiction, I'm not daft. But at the same time, no fiction is written in a bubble. And it was that question of whether the world has an effect on literature or whether literature has an effect on the world. And I think it's a bit of both. And it's just really, really interesting. I'm really enjoying it so far. I look forward to seeing where it goes. I look forward to seeing what else resonates with me. And yeah, but it's a great, great book, and I really recommend you all seek it out if you haven't read it. And if you have read it, read it again. So that's the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, and it's brilliant. So I just wanted to talk about it because it really has touched me very deeply, and I like to share these things with you guys. So go and seek it out, and I'll keep you posted, and I'll speak to you soon. Love and light.